Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SF Commons. Tonight, we have an exciting program. We're bringing in Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. We're bringing you one of the most prominent journalists on digital media, on social media, encompassing Twitter, Facebook, and all the other alternative media outlets. And this guy, ladies and gentlemen, if you Google his name, Tim Black, he's up there on top of the Google rankings, and he knows what's up in Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet Mr. Tim Black. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm doing fantastic, Myrna. Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you.
And you're in the know. And there is so much stuff going on in Washington, D.C., and in the country. So today, let's talk about this incredible movement that, unfortunately, a lot of people in San Francisco are kind of not in tune with.
Well, it's the DNC fraud lawsuit that was initiated last year, recently, right following the primaries. And the whole basis of the lawsuit, Myrna, is that the DNC colluded with the Hillary Clinton campaign to amplify Hillary Clinton above all other competitors.
Right.
You know, so that's the crust of it. The DNC has a charter which stipulates that they are to be fair and balanced.
Right.
They're not supposed to, how can you say, pull for one candidate over another.
Right. Right.
And due to the WikiLeaks documentation that was released, we were able to find out during the course of the primaries that the DNC was working with the Hillary Clinton campaign very closely.
Right.
So this put in jeopardy all of the people that supported Bernie Sanders, but not just Bernie Sanders, people who supported the DNC, who gave money to the Democratic Party.
Right.
There were, if you remember, there were other people who ran as well.
Right.
Jaffe, Mr. Webb, and Mr. O'Malley.
Right.
All of those people dropped out as well. So this is the basis of the lawsuit is that the DNC should have been impartial to all candidates running under the Democratic platform.
Right, right. Now, I had the opportunity to interview Elizabeth Lee Beck, one of the counsels in the case, and I reviewed the pleadings, and I believe that they have a very solid case. Now, in the last 2 days, there has been some reports from Jared and Lee Beck that they're getting death threats.
Yes.
Could you amplify this? What is going on? And Debbie Wasserman just threatened the chief of police in Capitol.
Well, Elizabeth Beck is amazing.
Yes.
Okay?
Oh, brilliant.
She's amazing, and she's a great friend, and her husband Jared Beck, as well as Nico House, who filed the original lawsuit, the class action lawsuit. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz was the former DNC chairperson.
Right.
And she had to step down from her position.
Right.
Because when this information came out about the rigging or about the biased treatment of the candidates, of Bernie Sanders in particularly, it looked very bad for the DNC. So they let Debbie Wasserman Schultz go, along with 3 other DNC staff members. So after that, so
right.
And they alerted all of independent media, hey, this is what's going on. It appears that people are using a voice transmitter, where a voice modulator that changes your voice.
That's scary.
You know what I'm saying?
That is scary.
It is scary, and they're threatening them. And it's not just them; it's also their co-counsel on the case. So we need to really amplify. Amplify Elizabeth Beck and Jared Beck just to give them more protection.
Exactly.
From these allegations. I also want to add that it's possible that this could be someone pranking as well, because you can mask your number if you buy. There's a thing called phone masking, where you can pretend to call from another phone number.
Right.
Okay. So, but the phone number looks like it's coming from the office of the DNC. So it's not just random people. Someone is either spoofing the DNC calling Elizabeth Beck and Jared Beck, or they're actually calling. I don't know yet.
Right.
With two gunshot wounds to the back, his wallet, a gold chain, his cell phone, and cash. All of this was still on him. This was around 4 o'clock in the morning on a street. We have no suspects. There's been no release of body camera or footage of cameras. This is DC we're talking about, Myrna. You would expect there to be cameras. It's the most surveilled city in the United States, Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
So, no, a lot of us are saying, based on the evidence, based on what happened, we don't believe it was a botched robbery. Robberies, usually people try to take stuff and nothing was taken. So we have that. We also have, right after the DNC, right after Elizabeth and Jared filed the lawsuit, the process server, Sean Lucas, who had no history, Myrna, of being addicted to drugs or using drugs, was found in his bathroom by his girlfriend with an overdose of like 3 different pharmaceutical drugs in his system. He has no history of drug usage. His girlfriend said he was not a drug user. So we get more suspicious. Then Barrington Wisenant, which is a prosecutor in the same area as Debbie Wasserman Schultz in her district, he was found with a wound to the head, or they're still trying to determine because he was found in the water at the beach there in Florida. And it's like we say, there's no smoking gun yet, but the reason why we believe that this may be connected to WikiLeaks is that Julian Assange of WikiLeaks mentioned Seth Rich in a broadcast recently. Back when this first broke, he mentioned that he said he cannot give sources, but people who give information to WikiLeaks, they do so at very high risk. And then he went on to mention a 27-year-old young man in Washington, D.C. by the name of Seth Rich, who was shot. And we're still trying to find out why. So WikiLeaks offered a reward for the capture and the arrest of whoever killed Seth Rich, $20,000. So why would Julian Assange of WikiLeaks give offering a reward for the capture of some random guy? So what we believe, and this is just what we have based on the information, we believe that Seth Rich was a DNC leak. We do not believe the Russia narrative. We do not believe that Russia hacked
every
into
time
the server.
every time I hear about Russia, it's like my head just just bursts. It's like I want to tell the corporate media, it's like, do you really think we're that stupid? It's just
Well, it's very likely that this is what we believe based on what we know now. We believe that Seth Rich was working internally in the Hillary Clinton campaign and with the DNC. We know they work very closely together. We believe that Seth Rich released documents to WikiLeaks.
I mean, why should if he knows of the corruption, he got sick of it, right? I mean,
he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. This is all verified that he was a Bernie Sanders supporter.
Now that's very recent. That's very recent.
It is. It's a lot of coincidences for all of this to come together. It seems too coincidental to just be an accident.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where we are, and it's very strange. It's very eerie, and we just want answers. We want answers to the questions of who killed Seth Rich. Was he the DNC leaker? And if that's true, see, that's the thing, Myrna. If it's true that Seth Rich leaked the documents and it was not Russia hacking in, that means we can now focus on other things besides Russia.
Exactly. Well, okay, so on Seth Rich, there's like what now? About over $500,000 reward, right?
The last I checked, I knew it was like 150,000.
Oh, there's like I think the last time I saw on the internet, it's like 525,000.
Wow. But I'm sure. You know what? I'll have to check on that number.
I mean, the killer himself should turn himself in for that kind of money.
Yes, a random robbery, a botched robbery where no one took anything. You would think, Myrna, this would be just some low-level street thug type people who robbed him. If that's the case, I'm sure someone would have turned them in for $100,000.
Exactly. Now it's $500,000. I mean,
that's probably more money than they've ever seen. Of course, they turn them in. So that's another reason why it's suspicious.
Exactly. Now, tell us about this thing, because for some reason, Debbie Wasserman is in all of this.
The Alwan brothers. Alwan brothers.
They're from Pakistan or something.
They're from Pakistan, correct. Now, they have been doing a lot of work in Washington, D.C. as technology professionals. And they've been doing this for quite a number of years. They've worked with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and other members of the DNC.
Right.
Equipment came missing. A lot of equipment has become missing from the DNC and from several members of Congress who they worked for. One of the laptops contained information of the DNC, and they're trying to get that laptop to examine what was on the laptop. Debbie Wasserman Schultz has threatened the police department, the National Police, the Washington, D.C.
Okay,
Police
this is
Department.
in Congress, right? The House of Representatives?
Yes. I mean, Debbie, they would report to Debbie. They would report to her chief of staff, maybe. But there would be no one else to govern it, to oversee it or manage it. If you're a contractor, you report directly to that congressperson.
So Debbie Wasserman, she's in the Appropriations Committee, right?
I think you're right.
So she is in charge of this. Are these private contractors or staff? And they're in charge of the IT for Congress? Is this
They
it?
were in charge of certain members of Congress.
Okay.
And Debbie Wasserman Schultz is one of those people that they help manage, logistics, computer access, when they travel, Blackberries, things of that nature. Yeah. So not for all of Congress, just for certain members of Congress.
And then so there's an investigation by the police, right, on these guys. So they took the laptop, and she want the laptop back.
Exactly, because you're right, because they want to examine it, and she doesn't want them to see what's on the laptop. I don't understand why. Maybe you could tell me why she wouldn't want them to examine. I don't know what the consequences can be. I don't know. I'm still looking into that. I'm not sure. My friend and I, H.A. Goodman,
I love H.A. Goodman. I watch him all the time. I watch you guys all the time.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you know H.A. He just called me. Like we're getting updates on this every day.
I know.
New information.
Our audiences do not know how popular these guys are. We're so lucky. Mr. Tim Black is here. So anyway, this is a gift to San Francisco. Alternate media. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So she is, going back to that, that is so, I cannot wrap my head around that. It's like, this is our government?
It is.
This is the highest echelon of our government.
Yes.
That's pretty scary.
World leaders with this type of
there's a crime spree going on. I mean, there's a criminal.
And the worst thing about it, Myrna, is when we ask about information about it, when we try to investigate it, we get pushback from mainstream media. Mainstream media does not want us talking about these issues. Jimmy Dore was just smeared in the Washington Post.
Well, the Washington Post. Tell people who owns the Washington Post.
The Washington Post is owned by Bezos, who owns Amazon.
And
now, Bezos just did a deal with the CIA to the tune of $600 million.
Right.
Look. Now, this is what you need to know: is that this deal is $600 million, is an awful lot of money. This deal is worth more than the Washington Post. It's
$300 million.
The Washington Post is estimated to be worth about $300 million.
Right.
So Bezos does the CIA deal, and now the Washington Post are reporting on things that are connected to the DNC or the Democratic Party or to the CIA, aka WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
They are stamping down and tramping down on any stories that are negative regarding the CIA. So when Jimmy Dore did a segment on Seth Rich talking about the same issues you and I are discussing right now, San Francisco, they did a smear on him. They wrote an article saying that he was a conspiracy theorist and none of this is, that he's grasping at straws and none of this makes sense.
Right.
But as I've laid out and as you know, Myrna, it is a interesting, very dramatic tragedy that happened. We have people who have lost their lives. We want answers.
Right, exactly.
No one is saying that Hillary Clinton shot anyone. We're not saying that. We're not saying that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is running around D.C. taking people out. No, but what we're saying is that
90% of the media in the world is controlled by five corporations. And like Mr. Bezos, he's got the Washington Post, he's got the Amazon, and has a $600 million contract with the CIA. That is where we are at today with corporate media. And of course, Fox News is owned by Robert Murdoch, and he is in partnership with the Rothschilds, Larry Summers, and Dick Cheney in oil drilling in Syria, which is being bombed the heck out of, and they're killing hundreds of thousands of people, and they're trying to oust a democratically elected president. That's where the media is. You're talking about these multinational conglomerates that are, one industry on top of another. And guess who can thank? We can thank for that. Bill Clinton, when he enacted the Telecommunications Act, deregulated all of the media. So now we have to rely on what they're saying. And that's why alternative media, like Mr. Black here, ladies and gentlemen, H.A. Goodman and everybody else, is where it's at today. And we're so, it's an opportunity to have him. So what else is happening in Washington, D.C.? See, people here do not know about that. Right. People in San Francisco, we don't know about it.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the word out. We're trying to inform people, because without the public knowing what's going on, like, you should know that Washington Post is a major, it's a record, it's a paper of record, excuse me, of record. Right. It's a dominant newspaper across the country.
With New York Times, and they've been pushing for every single war.
Every last war we've ever been in, they've been in the front, warmongering and cheering for us to go to war. That is absolutely true. Right. The thing is that the Russia narrative, people need to understand that this Russia talk, this is very lucrative for the Democratic Party.
Exactly.
They have raised more money this year. By May, they raised more money this year using the Russia scare than they raised in the entire year 2015.
Right.
In 5 months. So this is very lucrative. That's why you hear it. People are donating millions and millions and millions of dollars to the Democratic Party because they believe that they're going to help fight the Russians.
Are they really? Are they really?
It's the truth. That's what they think.
My God.
They think that Trump is working with Putin, though there's no evidence at all. There's no evidence to detect it. Even the FBI says they're only somewhat convinced, right? There's a terminology for it, but they're not absolutely convinced. They have no proof. They have no physical evidence. We have no hacker. We have no person to say this person hacked. So it's all innuendo. It's all a narrative.
Yeah.
And I believe it's being done just to raise money. But in D.C., we're doing our best to investigate it with George Webb, Jason Goodman.
Right.
These people have been on the ground, as well as, of course, we're working alongside with the DNC fraud lawsuit. And there is a media blackout on all these issues that I'm talking to you about.
Exactly. That's why here, talk to the average person, on the street. They don't know anything. What do we need to do? Okay, we have the Bernie Sanders movement, right? And the now they're talking about drafting Bernie Sanders to form a new party. We have candidates like Tim Canova should have won against Debbie Wasserman. Debbie Wasserman is like, where is she? I don't want to say anything because they might suicide me, but isn't it kind of scary? Who is this person?
She is so connected. She is so tied in. She was fired from the DNC,
but she's
and the next
scary.
day she was working for the Hillary campaign. Hillary hired her the very next day. It's remarkable.
When I saw her, somebody who has the audacity, has the balls to threaten a chief of police.
Power. She has power.
That is incredible.
Equality for all, as you all know. Stopping interventionist wars. That group is called Local Berniecrats. Now, the Local Berniecrats are organizations that are all grassroots. You may have one in San Francisco.
Yeah, we have a Berniecrats here, right?
Go to localberniecrats.com. And what we're trying to do is galvanize people like you, Myrna, people like your audience, who want change in our political system, who are willing to work together locally to help candidates run. Candidates that you believe in, candidates, new people, bring new people into the system. We have great challengers to these incumbents like Nancy Pelosi. We have great challengers. I brought them on my channel, Stephen Jaffe, fantastic. And we just need to support them. I helped Tim Canova doing his run, and I hope he runs again so I can help him again and we can get the word out.
Against Debbie Wasserman.
Clinton, and that Hillary Clinton is still the most powerful woman in the United States. People say some people say, Tim Black, you stop talking about Hillary. She lost, she's gone away. No, she's back, and she's still as powerful as she ever was.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on in D.C., and that's what's going on in our country.
Right.
She still controls the DNC. She still controls politics to a large degree. So that's where Debbie gets her. That's where Debbie gets her power. She doesn't have power. And meanwhile, Myrna, while they're talking about Russia, when we have people like Maxine Waters going on MSNBC talking about Russia.
That's really devastating. I used to like Maxine Waters, and now it's like every time I see her, it's like, impeach Trump. Like, on what grounds? First of all,
Myrna, but I hate to cut you off. I got to ask you a question. How many pieces of legislation do you think that Maxine Waters has helped produce in 17 years?
I don't know.
I'll answer it for you. 3.
Oh, really?
3. 1, 2, 3. Now, that's not a lot of work.
No.
17 years, 3 pieces of legislation, but she has time to talk about Russia and impeach Trump. What we should be holding our representatives responsible for is taking care of their districts and doing work for the American people.
Exactly.
That's what's needed.
Exactly.
Not this Trump stuff.
Yeah.
Fight Trump on the issues,
exactly.
but let's also focus on the people.
Exactly. And this whole impeach thing, I think there's a deep state behind that. And I'm really afraid of that, because that's a coup d'etat, really.
Yes, it is.
Because whatever happened, the fact is he won that race. He won against Hillary Clinton, who has blamed everybody.
People were not excited, Myrna. People didn't come out and vote because they weren't excited. Hillary Clinton didn't give anyone a big vision.
Oh my God!
A big idea, something to excite people to make them want to come out and vote.
Exactly. Anyway, Tim, this is fun, but we're running out of time. This is one segment, and we'll have a lot more. Okay. Shucks, you have so much to say, so we'll bring you on some more. Like we have to book things. Anyway, so thanks, Tim, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. This is Mr. Tim Black, and go to timblack.com or Tim Black TV and watch his fun stuff. He's on spot on all the issues happening in Washington, D.C. with the political system and the political process, and he is so cool. He makes it entertaining. How about that? So, Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Myrna. And remember, don't you let nobody take your cornbread. I mean it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, and good night.